The CRO token starts the month of August really bullish with the golden cross indicator. And at the same time, we do see a beautiful bounce here for Bitcoin on the purple 50-day simple moving average, which also is the peak of the previous high for Bitcoin. But does that mean it's time to buy, or is it now time to sell for the CRO token? Well, guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. This video is sponsored by Obsidian Finance, the place to make swaps with low spread and low fees. If you bought CRO in the month of July, I do believe you're quite a happy investor, because since the lows of July, we're up about 70%, so not too shabby for an altcoin. So in this video, I want to find out again if it's still time to buy the CRO token, or are we getting to a relatively high level, so it's time to sell. We're going to do that, guys, based on the macro environment. What is Bitcoin doing? We're going to take a look at the CRO charts in detail. And finally, we're going to take a look at the social sentiment as well. So don't forget to really strap in, ladies and gentlemen, for this video. Well, let's get started now with Bitcoin, because for Bitcoin overall, we have seen some very strong things on the chart. Like we mentioned in the intro, we did see, for example, here, a beautiful bounce on the 21-day simple moving average for Bitcoin. So that is looking good. And especially if we go to the weekly charts, then we can also take a look at some different indicators, like, for example, the RSI. And the RSI is the relative strength index. On the RSI, we can see that Bitcoin is now again overbought. It's above the 70 value. So that means that Bitcoin is at a relatively high price. However, that doesn't mean it can't go any higher, because here we were also overbought. And also here, in March of 2024, we were also overbought. But if you take a look at the price really of March of 2024 versus where we are now, well, we went up another 62%. And I do believe, guys, that we can climb even more. And why did I say that? Well, take a look. If you zoom out again, the RSI in previous cycles went a lot higher. So we can easily climb another 20% before we are going to hit those peak rates. We can see the same thing also with different indicators for Bitcoin that typically indicate a peak. For example, the 200-week moving average heat map, we can see that we're now also moving up, but we're still in the blue color zone. Once we hit the more greenish colors, I become a bit more wary, but so far, guys, it is still looking very, very good. Other indicators, like, for example, the Pew multiple, that's more based on the supply side of Bitcoin, is also showing no real danger for Bitcoin, because we are not yet in the purple zone or in the pink zone here. That typically has been the peak for Bitcoin. But even lower, like what we have seen in 2021, we're not even close to those values, ladies and gentlemen. So I do believe that we can easily go back to at least the November top here of 2024. And we're now currently at about 1.5. So we still have a lot more room to grow for Bitcoin on the pure multiple. So I don't expect any top to have occurred at this point. Overall, I do see a lot of potential for Bitcoin to go towards higher targets this cycle. And it's also supported by some facts in the broader economy, like the DXY here on the chart, the dollar currency index. And since 2022, the overall trend has been going to the downside. But more recently, we started struggling a little bit here about the 96 level. And we even went up towards the 100 level once more. And 100, guys, has been very important throughout the history of the DXY, but we did get a big break to the downside. So I do believe another signal here that the DXY can go even lower. It can go even lower. And that's really good also for Bitcoin. As you can see here, when we were basically at the lowest points regarding the DXY, back in 2021, we also went to the all-time high for Bitcoin back then. But then we started the bear market, and the DXY started running up. And now we're getting closer and closer to the same levels as what we have seen in 2021. So if you get a similar break here, minus 10% for the DXY, that could bring us to that final high for Bitcoin and also altcoins like CRO. But talking about altcoins, how are altcoins doing in general? Because on the Bitcoin dominance chart, we do see a big breakdown here in the month of July, but also a bit of strength more recently with a bounce on the 50-week simple moving average that we also saw in November of 2021. But what I find interesting is I do believe now we're again going down. So instead of showing a lot of strength, like big candles to the upside, Now already in the third week, we are going down. So I do believe it's a bit more like this period here in 2021, where we had a lot of weeks doing basically nothing. So what if we get something similar? We do see a few weeks of basically nothingness, and then we start that final breakdown for Bitcoin dominance, truly starting altcoin season. Talking about altcoin season, I do need to make clear that it's not yet altcoin season according to the altcoin season index here. But what I would say is most interesting here is the overall trend. We do see that now we've started a bit of an uptrend for the altcoin season index here, going towards the 75 value. But I am still a bit cautious because where we were in the summer of 2023, we also did get a bit of a bounce to the downside. So is this like a temporary top? That's very much potentially possible, but I would say the overall trend will be in the upcoming weeks, I think, more and more towards the altcoin season. With all of these factors in mind that we just discussed, it does seem the environment for Cronos looks very, very bullish. Let's take a deeper look into the CRO chart after the quick word of today's sponsor. Obsidian Finance is a platform to make trades on-chain, but more importantly, they've remained very loyal to their core roots because you can only trade on Cronos or Cronos ZK EVM. And they also care about the community because they have added the CRO communities. The CRO communities are self-made communities that are trading on the Cronos chain and can, for example, sort by volume. And there you can see that, for example, Robin on Cronos has been the most active CRO community. You can find all the statistics, the top traders, and also what pools are available, for example, for the NFTs, locks, and also potentially contests for trading. Check Obsidian out, guys, in the link in the description down below. Anyways, let's talk some more about the CRO token, because as mentioned in the intro, we did have here a golden cross for CRO. Funnily enough though, only a few days after the golden cross, we basically went down minus 20%, so ouch. That doesn't mean though that the golden cross effect has now officially been cancelled, because I want to show you a different example of 2021. Because in 2021, we also here had a golden cross. I put here a little golden circle. So here we did have a golden cross as well. And very similar there. Also, a few days after the golden cross, we did have a dip of about minus 20%. If you zoom out though, you can see that that wasn't the end. That wasn't the end for the golden cross, because we kept going up and up and up all the way to the $1 level. All the way. We still have about 500% more to go if we follow this fractal, because we do have a fractal here. It does also spell out something very similar. So this was basically the fractal of 2021. Also there, it kind of expected a bit of a dip. You can see here, we also went down at about the same time in the cycle. So are we going a bit lower? Potentially, guys, like what we've seen, we might go down a bit more. But more importantly, don't forget to zoom out, because you can see that our 20-cent level is still in play, and after that, we can still go a lot higher. And it's also what our rainbow chart mentions. Here we do have the CRO rainbow chart. And if you guys don't know this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, because we talk very often about the rainbow chart. And we're still now in the green zone. That means the cheap zone for CRO. Once we go here into the red, it is definitely the bubble territory, and therefore the sell zone. But I think very soon we might be going in towards here the blue area. And the blue area is really interesting because it is at about 17 cents. At about 17 cents, there we do expect also on different charts a bit more resistance. Here we can see the 17-cent line also has been resistance here back in 2024 and also earlier here in 2022. So very interesting, guys. I do think the 70-cent level is one to watch. And also on the rainbow chart, it is definitely also a very important target. So maybe in the month of August, we might see a bit of a further climb towards this level. But do remember, guys, all these hard borders, the switches from green into blue, but also here, this border here, it is somewhat harder support or resistance. And also here you can see we try to break down a bit more, but in the end, we had a good bounce here on the dotted blue line. So it's looking very good so far for CRO. And by the way, not only versus the US dollar, but more importantly, also versus Bitcoin, because here we do see the CRO Bitcoin pair. And the CRO Bitcoin pair is following a classic double bottom or W pattern, because so far we've seen a lot of weekly green candles, last week one red candle, but it can easily flip into the green again. So we can actually continue our target here of about 0.00002 Bitcoin per CRO. Finally, let's talk about the social sentiment as well for CRO, because I do believe, guys, that retail is an important driver for price appreciation. And the more people that look for CRO on YouTube, on Google, on Twitter, the more people actually buy CRO typically as well. So that's a great indicator for higher prices. And what is interesting and what you can see is that Cronos social risk has risen to a yearly high. It is currently at value 39. So it is relatively low. It is relatively low, but it's going to the highest part really of 2025 so far. But I like this trend because last month we were only trading at about 33. So it is going into the right direction, because the higher this goes, the more risk we have, but also the more price appreciation we typically do see. And I would say, guys, a bit of more of a fundamental case that I think this will rise even more potentially in August or maybe September. And why did I say that? Well, let's take a look here at the Crypto.com roadmap, and there we do have for Q3 the Crypto.com stablecoin. So either in August or in September, if everything is going according to plan, we will see the launch of the Crypto.com stablecoin, which is a very bullish catalyst for the CRO token. If you want to learn more about this catalyst, check out this video in the top right. And moreover, we're also waiting still on an updated roadmap for Cronos chain, but maybe more information as well about, for example, the new token burn. So very exciting stuff coming. I do believe next month we will see a higher social risk, but I will keep you up to date. So do follow me also on X at the Coin Baron. Having said all of that, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a conclusion. And do remember, I'm no financial advisor. This is just my personal opinion here. But if you take a look at the macro environment being very bullish for Bitcoin, but also favorable now for altcoins, we see also good momentum now for the CRO token, not only based on the golden cross, but also on the rainbow chart. And we do see a lot of momentum regarding social sentiment. So all of these things considered, do say that I'm still buying more CRO now. So guys, bullish on CRO, buying more CRO. Let me know what you think though in the comments down below. Are you still buying CRO? Are you thinking about selling? Taking some profit is always fine. But let me know, guys, in the comments down below. And don't forget to hit the like button and also strap in. And while you're strapped in, don't forget to also watch this video about the 3 major catalysts for CRO still in 2025.